Hi guys, today I have for you a review of our very own Caleb J. Ross's book, Stranger Will. Woo! Insert iMovie clapping sounds here. Stranger Will is about a man named William whose job is to clean up the remains after someone is murdered or commits suicide or is in a road wreck or whatever. And William is engaged to this woman named Julie, and she is pregnant, which brings up some interesting issues. William, since he cleans up dead bodies for a living, is constantly around chemicals that are carcinogenic and poisonous and bad. So when Julie told him that she was pregnant, he was not particularly excited because one, all these chemicals are probably affecting the child already, and two, William is very worried about how a child is supposed to succeed and be happy and do well in a world that is all broken and messed up. I felt really weird talking about this book because Caleb, you're going to be watching this, probably. So hopefully I don't, totally mess up the idea of your book. Moving right along. So anyway, William is obviously not very excited about this pregnancy, and through a strange conversation and relationship with this woman named Mrs. Rose. Mrs. Rose's character is one of the weirdest characters I've ever been introduced to before, so look out for that. And through this relationship / weirdness with Mrs. Rose, a plan has been formed between them in regards to this unborn child. Now, about halfway through the book is when there's a big thing that happens, and I'm not gonna tell you. Wow, bit of a turn there. The next half of the book is the aftermath, and it reveals more of the kind of mysterious plot. So some of the themes that are explored in this book are themes that I personally have never read before, and one of these themes is eugenics, which is sort of the manipulation of the human genome in order to achieve a more perfect human, or to at least perfect a human, which is an interesting theme because that links to perfection, and the character of Mrs. Rose has a very interesting idea of perfection, and all this ties together, I promise. The themes that are in this book, I think, are empathy, which I was kind of surprised by this. Like, for example, William's character, he does not really empathize with other characters very well, and this really reminded me of Albert Camus' The Stranger, the main character in that book. His mother dies, and he just doesn't really react. At least he doesn't react in the way that I would consider normal people would. William in the story is kind of like that character because he does not react to really emotional or really shocking situations the way that, for example, I would. So that was interesting. Empathy is a good theme in here. Perfection goes along with the eugenics theme, the idea of what is the perfect human. Is it possible? Should we be going after the perfect human? Not going after them. Should we be trying to get to the level of a perfect human? What does it really mean to be a perfect human? Does one person's idea of perfection deserve to be the idea of perfection? I don't know. So I thought this book was really interesting, and it made me think a lot about that because perfection is something that I think is obviously thought about a lot, but it is not something that is across the board the same idea for everyone. So that's something that I hadn't really thought about before. Other themes include handy note-taking device. So another theme in this book is the right to reproduce. Do we have the right to introduce a child into this broken, putrid, messed up world? And I think that's something that the book, for me, didn't actually answer, which I think is important because it's not a black and white answer, but it is a very thought-provoking subject. So thoughts about that in general, even if you haven't read the book, which you should, go read the book. Tell me about it down there. My review of it, my thoughts, is that it was compulsively readable. It flowed really well. I thought that the writing style was different. It was written in like this present tense, so like, for example, like a sentence in books that I usually read would be like, William walked across the room. In this book, it's like, William walks across the room, which was kind of off-putting at first, but I did get used to it. It was just kind of weird. Another thing about this book is that there are no real likable characters, in my opinion, but a book does not have to have likable characters or a likable plot or whatever setting to be thought-provoking. And again, like Albert Camus' The Stranger, I didn't particularly like the situations or the characters, but it was very thought-provoking. A lot like this. So, and I know that The Stranger was an influence on Caleb for this book. And I think you do get that influence, but it's not like the same at all. And the characters are not bound by cliches, which I think is fabulous. I do not like it when characters are predictable or they have like a predictable story arc. It drives me insane. I would recommend this book very consciously. I wouldn't tell everyone I knew to read this book because it deals with a lot of things that are heavy and shocking and a little bit depressing sometimes. So I would say if you enjoy reading and if you enjoy testing your morals and kind of testing your idea about how things are, I would say definitely read it. If you're someone who really likes light reads only, I wouldn't recommend it to you because it is not that. But I do think it's very important to stretch one's mind with literature, and I do think that this one does it. And I've never read anything like this. I think that's even on the back. I read a lot, so this is impressive to me. So, I would rate it 4.69872 out of 5. That's pretty good. To Caleb, thank you so much for sending this to me. I really enjoyed it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I think you did a really good job. My like level of respect for you just, cause wow, nice job. And just real quick, I'm gonna do what I'm currently reading because I don't think I've remembered to do that before, so I'm remembering now. First, I'm reading Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. This was the source material for the movie Blade Runner. It's a sci-fi book, kind of a dystopia. I think it takes place in, 2021. It's really good. I like this a lot. I'm on a sci-fi kick right now. I just read I, Robot. I'm gonna reread Ender's Game and finish Dune. So this is very good. So also I'm rereading this beautiful piece of amazing fantasy, The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. Oh my god, it's so good. I'm rereading it because it's this big and so there's obviously a lot of detail. I absolutely love this book. This would probably be a 5 out of 5 on Goodreads because this is probably the best fantasy book I've ever read over anything I mentioned in that fantasy video. So, fantasy book video. Just to clarify. Guys, I have a confession to make. I am reading Winter's Heart, which is in the Wheel of Time series, and it's the 9th one. I have just completely lost faith in the Wheel of Time series. Honestly, the only reason why I'm reading this is because I'm trying to get to not Robert Jordan, to Brandon Sanderson's ones. So does anybody else feel like this with Wheel of Time? Also the covers, Anyway, my last book is Moby Dick. Oh, isn't that a helpful cover for you? There we go. My last book is Moby Dick. It is, a classic, kind of. It's huge. It's really good so far. It's really funny. I don't know, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting it to be very serious and allegorical and metaphorical and all those oracles, but oracles. Anyway, that is everything that I am up to and what I've been up to in regards to Stranger Will. Please comment if you have read Stranger Will or have remarks on it. I would love to discuss it because, this is a booktube video. Clearly I like discussing books. Also, if you read any of the books that I'm currently reading, please tell me because I love discussing stuff. Alright, bye!